I can't believe it's June already. It is time for the mid-year freakout tag. So we're gonna get into that right now. The first question is the best book that you've read so far this year. And that book is Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. This book blew my dang socks off. It exceeded my expectations beyond what I thought could possibly be. Like, I'm a fan of this author, but this book is my favorite one I've read of his yet. It is about this orphanage. It's in the 1800s. There's all these boys that live there, and the ages range from really young up until about like 16, 17. And it's run by these priests, and you know, one of them is a good man, one of them's just really old and maybe senile, who knows. The other one is just like a butthole. One night, on a dark and stormy evening, some men come to the door, and there's a man that's brought there, and he ends up dying. And when he dies, demons are unleashed throughout the orphanage, and then weird stuff starts happening, and it's really emotional and traumatic. It really was such a powerful and moving story, and it surpassed anything I absolutely thought it could be. Favorite book so far. Absolutely fantastic. Boys in the Valley. The next question is the best sequel you've read so far. So I've only read one, and that was A Prayer for the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers, and that is the second book in the Monk and Robot series. They're both little novellas. The first book is called A Psalm for the Wild Bill. Absolutely fantastic. The second book is just as good, if not better, than the first. They're really moving. It is the best sequel I've read, and it is also the only sequel I've read. Alright, next question is new release you haven't read yet but want to. The new release that I haven't read yet that I want to is Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. That comes out late summer, I want to say. I don't remember the release date, but it is on my TBR, and it's one that I definitely want to get to. I really like her as an author, and I'm super excited for that one, and I like vampire stories. I have a soft spot in my heart for vampire stories, so super excited for that one. Hopefully I will get to that soon. And then next we have most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Wait, is that what I just said? Honestly, wouldn't that be the same thing as the question of new release you haven't read but want to? Because mine is the same answer then. Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. That is one of my most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. It's actually in a video that I made for my most anticipated releases of the year, which I can link down below to that if you would like to see that. Number 5, biggest disappointment. I didn't have a lot of disappointments, but I think my biggest one was probably the book Cursed Bread. It just was described in the synopsis as something that I thought was going to be so different. I thought it was like going to be about this town's descent into madness, and while a little bit of that is in there, it's way more about this weird triangle between these three characters, and it's kind of sad and weird, and it's a little bit erotic, and it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, I wanted more of the town sinking into madness, and that just wasn't it. That book could definitely be for other people, and they may like it quite a bit, but for me, it just was kind of a big disappointment. So the next one is biggest surprise. Honestly, my biggest surprise was probably Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi. I knew I would probably like it because I love him as an author, but I had no idea how much I would love that book. Like, right now, it is my number one book I've read this year. So unless something is really like mind-boggling amazing, I think that's gonna probably take the number one spot this year. I've read 3 really amazing books. That has been Boys in the Valley by Philip Fracassi, Looking Glass Sound by Catriona Ward, that comes out in August, and Lone Women by Victor Laval was absolutely amazing. So those are my top 3 so far. That wasn't a question, but now you know. Next is favorite new author, debut or new to you. So I think Victor Laval, I knew of him before and I read one of his other books, The Ballad of Black Tom, and I thought that was fantastic, but I'd only read that one book, so, you know, I didn't really know as I read more would I really like him. And then Lone Women blew me out of the dang water. And so now Victor Laval is one of my faves. I need to read The Changeling by him. There's some other ones that I want to get into, and always exciting to find new authors. The next question is, or it's more of a statement, I guess. Newest fictional crush. I really think that's a dumb question. I'm sorry. I don't mean to hurt anyone's feelings if they think it's an awesome question. I don't have a fictional crush. Sometimes I'm like, man, that character is a badass, or like, this character is awesome, or I hate this character, but I'm never like, I have a crush on this character. I don't know. when I'm reading it in a book, it's not the same as if I'm watching a movie where I'm like, this character is super hot. Like, maybe I just need to visually see it on a screen, but for me, when it's in a book, I don't know, I just don't make that connection. Maybe that's just me. It's probably just me. I don't know. I don't have a fictional crush. I feel like I over explained that quite a bit, but I don't know. All right, newest favorite character. My newest favorite character is Mosscap the robot from the Monk and Robot series. The reason is Mosscap experiences the world as if like a child, as if for the first time, with this childlike wonderment that is just so beautiful and amazing, and that is my favorite character. All right, next is book that made you cry. Both of those books did. The Monk and Robot series, those made me cry. They were so touching and freaking moving. Oh, so good. And then I think Before the Coffee Gets Cold, I think I read that this year. Was it last year? I think it was this year. And that also made me shed a tear. Alright, the next is book that made you happy. I really enjoyed the book Fieldwork by Elena Regan, and it's a nonfiction book about Elena and her wife, and they have this awesome, it's kind of like a B&B. They have property up north in Michigan. Elena is like a Michelin-starred chef, and they do foraging and have people come and stay there. They serve these amazing meals that are foraged from nearby on the land. They talk about their childhood and gender, and like the food descriptions are amazing, and the humor and just the way it's written is really fantastic, and how Elena builds the story, like the storytelling is really well done, and I really like that book. That book makes me happy. And then the most beautiful book that you've bought so far this year or received. So I haven't really bought a whole lot of books. Maybe like, I've bought maybe 10 books this year, if that. But this would be the most beautiful. Pod. This cover, it's gorgeous. I love the cover. I haven't read it yet, but this is the prettiest book I have bought this year for sure. What books do you need to read by the end of the year? So obviously the one I talked about before, Vampires of El Norte by Isabel Cañas. Whale Fall by Daniel Kraus, that is not out yet. I think that comes out in August or September. I'm not 100% sure. I want to read What Kind of Mother by Clay McLeod Chapman. I read his book Ghost Eaters last year. Awesome. That's his new one that comes out, I think, in like September. I also want to read Hawk Mountain by Connor Habib. I think there's one more I'm forgetting. And Pre-Approved for Haunting by Patrick Barb, which I have on my bookshelf, and that will be read soon. That one comes out also in September. So now is the part of the video where I'm supposed to tag someone, but I don't do that because I'm like, you're busy, you got stuff going on. I don't know, so I'm super weird about it. But if you had fun and enjoyed this tag, this is one of those ones, you know, I did this last year. I really like this one. It's kind of cool to see, like, you know, what you think the best books are, what you were surprised by, what was disappointing. Like, that's always cool to hear. So if you thought this tag was fun, consider yourself tagged. And if you're a fan of tag videos, the next video coming up will be another tag video. So stick around and check it out. And if you had fun hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.